I was going to type out what I wanted to say first, but to be honest, I don't have the time. I'm just busy working. I'm working away for the last couple of days. A thought came into my mind, the thought that I would have had previously, but it just came back into my mind. And it's an anomaly, I suppose you would call it. And what I'm talking about is the excess deaths in Ireland. So, over the last 4 years, there's been 25,000 plus excess deaths in Ireland. As many of us know that, you know. But the general public still seem unaware, or certainly unaware to the extent that they're not outraged and banging on the doors of politicians asking for an explanation or asking for a response. That's not happening. And to put it in context, I calculated last year it was 13.6 people per day. Now it's up around 16 people per day when you average it out. Irish people have died from the SARS-CoV-2 experimental stage 2 injection vaccine. That's what it was, experimental. Normally takes 10 years minimum to develop a vaccine. And this poison was rolled out in no time at all. Okay. But going back to the numbers, if you say 16 per day, and you multiply that out over the period of 1 week, that would be 74 is 112 people per week. So if 112 people per week were dying on Irish roads, I think probably the average in a year is about 240. But if 112 per week were dying on the Irish roads, there would be an absolute outrage. It'd be unheard of, and thankfully that's not the case, but it would be unheard of. But then you have to say, well, how would people know 112 people per day were dying on Irish roads? Well, the majority of people, unfortunately, they're still in the position where they can only get that information from what we call main media, and main media are not reporting this. They're failing in their duty to do so, and therefore they're extremely complicit. In fact, I'd say they're more complicit than anybody else, main media, by not reporting what's happening. And bearing in mind too that these were the same people that promoted the whole fraud. There was the so-called pandemic. It was not a pandemic, we know that now. We have more than enough evidence to prove that easily. If we went into court, we'd win it in 5 minutes. So the main point what I wanted to get to here is that the Irish government and their administration entities, HSE, etc., know fully the extent of the deaths in Ireland. And the remarkable thing about it is they're completely stum. Now, stum is a word I regard as not just not saying anything, more than that, you know, locked mouths, you know, stum, and they're not even discussing it. That to me is their admission of guilt. That alone, we have more than enough evidence to implicate them. They were involved in Event 201 a couple of months before the pandemic, which was organised by Bill Gates, and the Irish government had delegates at that event. They knew full well what was going on, and they are implicit in all this, and they're stum, they're quiet, is the proof we have that they are not addressing the anomaly of 25,000 deaths in Ireland, which is just a phenomenal number of people who have died at their hands. Our brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, cousins, loved ones, you know. I mean, when are going to people, we're not going to people wake up. I'll stay with that. We're not going to people wake up.